three different projects that have been sitting on my desk. I had ideas for them, but I just didn't get to them. So I thought I would do all three of them in this little video. The first one is a waistband, part of a waistband. I used this pair of jeans in the boho clutch that I made a couple, 3 weeks ago. I'll link that video down below if you missed it. But I thought I'm just going to do some kind of a cuff with it, and I'm going to keep the original button on it. So I'm going to use that as part of the closure. So that one's going to be really easy. I love this little belt loop that's still hanging there. So I'll probably slide something underneath it and just do some fiber or something kind of funky with that. The next one is a placemat that I found at the thrift store. I always love fabrics that have larger motifs in them. I cut those out for a statement piece, like a statement motif in a collage, or like make patches, different things with them. I think I'm going to use this possibly for like little coasters or something like that. It is a double-sided, or there's two different layers of fabric here, so I should be able to get several of them on that. So that's going to be this easy, quick project. And then the last one is a piece of a upholstery sample. And the upholstery samples have the grommets in them because they're in a book. And I love the color on this. I love green. And I thought it'd be fun to see if I could make a clutch and use this as part of the handle. Just maybe put like a swivel hook or something through that. I'm not sure how this one's going to work yet. I'll probably cut, part of it down. There's always this piece on these samples with the company and the style numbers, fabric numbers, and it's hard to get off. And so I'm going to cut that end of it off and then probably use part of this for the strap. So I'm going to get busy. I'm going to cut some of the motifs out first, and we're going to start with this one. I got 8 different shapes, different sizes. They all have that just kind of an Art Deco look to them. I really love it. And I think I'm going to back them on denim. I just have a piece of a denim jean pants leg here. I want to lay these so that there's going to be some edge of the denim showing. And then as they get washed, they're going to fray up and just have a neat texture to them. So I'm going to lay these out. I'm going to pin them in place. And then I'm going to take you to the sewing machine with me, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to stitch these. I want to use, I think I picked out this thread, and it doesn't necessarily match. It has a lot of different colors to it, and it's like a multicolored thread. But I thought it would be fun, and like I said, I want to add a lot of stitches. I'm going to use free motion. I'm going to go around the outside and then do just a lot of the markings on the inside too. So that is my next step. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin these on, and then I'll be at the sewing machine. I do have my free motion foot on. I have that multicolored thread in, and just a bobbin thread in the bobbin, and the bobbin thread is white. Have my feed dogs dropped, so I'm going to be doing the moving. I think I'm going to go around the outside, if maybe even 3 times, at least twice. So I'm just going to start. And then I'm going to go on some of the marks on the inside. I've just outlined things and maybe make some little squiggles and just different things, just different stitches. I did extend the stitching out beyond the leaf. So you can, especially on some of the narrower one, I wanted to make it a little bit wider. And now I'm going to cut beyond that stitching and give it a probably at least a quarter of an inch around, just to leave some of that denim. And here they are, and this is what they look like on the back side. It's got 5 more to go, but I'm going to go on to my little cuff next. I'm just going to gather some things that I think might work for this. I do have this piece of real textured fiber that I really love. Just different things on my table here too. And then also I love this. I really like this piece of black and white scrap. Another thing that I cut off when I was doing the leaf on the bottom of the jean that I was using has this frayed hem, and I thought that that might be kind of cool too. I just love adding texture to these. And so I'm going to play around with this and just see what I can come up with. And then I'll be stitching this, and I probably will be stitching this maybe with the same thread that I used on the leaves, just something real colorful. Probably the very first thing I should do is add the elastic. I'm just going to use like a ponytail elastic, slide it in here, and then stitch that really, really good. I'm going to do that first. I've got a whole bag of different colors of these little ponytail holders, but I'm just going to go with a black one. And I'm just going to put this in here so that about an inch or so hangs out. And then I'm going to just go take this and I'm going to zigzag back and forth several times on this. Now I'm just going to lay some different things on here just to see what I like. I think I'm going to go with this. And looking at this, there's a lot of this camel colored thread, and I think I'm going to put that in the top. Um, and then I'm just going to use my white bobbin thread for the bottom. This I'll lift up until I get the rest of this design on here. And then I'll probably stitch over this once, just to kind of keep it down. And then this is just going to hang off. I think that'll be kind of fun. So I'm going to take it to my sewing machine. I'm going to free motion stitch this on. I did add a little bit of a trim around. This will go all the way around to kind of cover up that elastic and that end. That's kind of raw edge there. So back to my sewing machine, and I'll just get this quickly stitched on. Again, I have my free motion foot on. My feed dogs are dropped, and I'm going to be doing all the moving on this. I'm going to be just going to doing some zigzagging, just trying to catch everything. I've got it on. I really I like the way it looks. I think it needs something right here. This is a little off-centered, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun just to put, this is a button, but it's a very, I don't know, rusty, old looking button. It does have like a little foot on it, so I think that would be just really fun right there. Just as a little accent point or focal point. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm done with this project, and it's on to the little clutch. Now this is too long, so I'm going to cut some of it off. I think it's a 12-inch, so it's 12 inches. So then with an inch seam allowance or so, it'll be, yeah, 11 inches by the height of it. So I'm going to do that first. And then for the lining, I found just a lightweight cotton, and I am going to put a medium weight interfacing on the back of this. This, I don't think I'm going to interface or put fleece or anything. It's heavy. It's heavier. So I think this is going to be a good weight just with the two. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll cut this, interface it with a medium iron-on interfacing, and then it's on to the next step. I'm putting the zipper in, and we'll see how, like I said, I had to kind of put my thinking cap on because I want this hole to be here. So that's where I'm going to put, found this little swivel hook. So that's, and then the strap is going to go on that. I just thought that would be kind of fun and just a good way to use upcycle a piece of upholstery sample. I've got my pieces cut now. I did slice the lining down the middle, and I cut this a little bit longer because there will be a seam at the bottom. Put the interfacing on, and now for the strap, I'm going to use what I've cut off here. The strap needs to be 4 inches wide because that hook is an inch, and yeah, so it needs to be 4 inches. You have to times it by 4. Let's see here. I am going to have some of this paper in this cut. I wanted to embellish this some, and a wonderful viewer, subscriber, sent me these felt shapes. She makes the most incredible bags, and she uses felt shapes as the embellishments. And she sends me some things that she has left over. And these just fit perfect in these there's like a little diamond shapes on this fabric. And the color is perfect. I only have 4 of them, so I might just use the 3. Or maybe I'll do one on I'll probably do something like that. So this is going to be the front of it. I'm going to go ahead and pin these into place. And then I'm going to stitch around each one of these, just with a regular straight stitch. I'm going to try to find thread that pretty much matches. And if I can't, I might go with a gold thread, which is what the serged edge is. I edge stitched my little felt pieces with the gold thread. I used the gold thread. And then I found these buttons that I thought were just interesting. And there is little button patterns in this fabric, which I just think it's just really cute. And I thought I was going to just add those buttons on there just to kind of bring those out. Now for the zipper, I cut my zipper 1 inch shorter than the top of my little bag here. And I'm adding zipper tabs. I've already got one done. To do that, I just take a piece of fabric, and this is just my lining fabric. I cut it the width of my zipper. This is a number 5 zipper, so it's about 1.25 inches. And then it's 2 inches long. I fold it and press it, and then fold it towards the pressed middle. So I just have this little, and then I'm going to enclose this and stitch across, very much like this one. Just going to place that so the right sides are together on the top of my little bag here, setting it in that 1/2 inch. So a 1/2 inch on this side, a 1/2 inch on the far side. And I'm just going to clip this into place, just sandwiching that zipper in between my lining fabric and my outer fabric. Then I'm going to stitch across this using like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew the other side of the zipper just by flipping this up. You just want to make sure that everything lines up on this edge. I'm going to open this for a second here. And again, I'm going to make my sandwich with my zipper in the middle. I do like to put my clips on first and then add my lining to the back side. Making sure this all lines up. And right sides together. And then I'm going to add my lining to my clips. And I'm going to take this back to my sewing machine, stitch this again at that 1/4 inch seam allowance. I do have my zipper in. Now I know it would be easier. I could top stitch this and it would be easy to do that if the bottom was open, and it's not open. And I didn't really want to cut the bottom. I just didn't want to take more of the width or the length of this off. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand stitch this. And I think I'm going to do it from the back side. Hopefully so it won't even show on the front. And just stitch this lining down so that it doesn't creep up and get in the way of the zipper. So I am going to go do that, but I wanted to address this little spot here. I realized that the lining is going to show through this and I want that to be open. And so what I'm thinking what I'm going to do is once I get the zipper completely finished, get my side seam sewn, I think I'm just going to cut out this hole here and tuck it back in, and then I'm going to stitch just on the outside of this all the way through all the layers, just a square around this little thing, and then hopefully catch all that lining fabric, and then this will be open. So that's my plan. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish my zipper and then we'll do the side seams. I've turned it now inside out and have my lining fabric matching up. When I do this, I'm going to stitch this seam. But when I do this, I want to make sure that my seams match, but also I'm not going to sew into that zipper tab at all. So that's not in the seam allowance. Just going to put a couple pins in there. And I think I'm going to leave a space on the bottom of the lining for the turning, but I'm going to start here, go up and all the way down to this end. And then I'm going to cut away some of that circle. I'm going to clip my corners and then turn this through the lining and then through my open zipper. To poke out those zipper tabs, before I close my lining bottom, I am going to take this back to my sewing machine. I'm making sure that that is opening and all that fabric is away from this. And I'm going to stitch this through all the layers, just like this. Okay, I got my little square sewn around the grommet. And I also finished off the inside, just stitched that shut with my sewing machine. Really loving how it's turning out. It just feels good. It's just really cute. I like the size of it too. Strap. It ended up measuring, let's see, about 13 inches. And then I have it folded to meet in the middle and fold it again. And I'm going to stitch this side, but first I want to get my swivel hook in there, and then I am to bring this up and I am going to stitch across this, and that'll completely hide that paper. So I'm just going to take 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and stitch across this. I've closed the seam now, and then I'm just going to stitch around this, moving this out of the way as I go. Okay, my little strap is finished, and I just stitched right here so it's secure. I always like the bulk of this, like the up on the top, so it doesn't interfere with your, with your hand, your wrist. Now this is done. I really love how it turned out. I have to show you another one that I just did. Just a whole different look. This one I wrapped a doily around it, but did it the same way with the little grommet, and so they're the same size. I hope you enjoy this, everybody. I'm going to have some pictures at the end, and I'll also be getting these in my Etsy shop, which will be linked down below. Bye for now. Have a great week.